it's not about piling on a whole heap of new expectations, but it's more like peeling away everything that just doesn't feel true to who we are anymore. Hi, I'm Jo Clark, and thanks so much for joining me today. This is the Redefining Midlife podcast, a podcast designed for the 40-plus woman who is determined to challenge society's myths and beliefs around midlife. It's for the woman who is inspired and ready to define midlife her way. Join me each week as I chat to health and wellness experts for up-to-date information on how to live well as some special conversations with incredible everyday women redefining what midlife can look like. Here's to making our next half of life even better than the first. Well, welcome back to another episode of Redefining Midlife. I do know that there are so many other things that you could be doing right now, so I really do appreciate you taking the time to listen in. Now, I'm sure today's topic is going to resonate with so many of you, just as it has with me. This episode is all about a theme that's been really pivotal in my life, and one, if I'm being honest, has shaped a lot of who I am today. We're going to be talking about unbecoming, what it means at this stage in life, and how it's a concept that can help us grow into a more genuine, a more fulfilling version of ourselves. It's such a beautiful opportunity just to let go of all of those layers and the expectations that may have shaped us over the years, but they no longer feel like they fit. It's kind of like squeezing into a pair of jeans that are just too tight. You want to get out of them and into something more comfortable. And I want to start by sharing one of my favorite quotes from author Paulo Coelho. And he said, "Maybe the journey isn't so much about becoming anything. Maybe it's about unbecoming everything that isn't really you, so you can be who you were meant to be in the first place." Well, this quote really struck me because it captures so perfectly what so many of us experience in midlife. And it's not about piling on a whole heap of new expectations, but it's more like peeling away everything that just doesn't feel true to who we are anymore. In my case, I realized that I wanted to do so much more with my life, to grow more, to learn more, to experience new things. I really just didn't want to get to the end of my life wishing that I'd made different choices when I had the chance to. I didn't want to wait. And for so many of us, midlife can become a time when we look around and realize just how many roles we've played and how many labels we've carried. I mean, for decades, many of us have been mothers, partners, daughters, caregivers, professionals, and often all of these things at once. But midlife has got a way of putting us in situations that make us pause and really reevaluate our lives. And for some of us, our children have grown independent, or maybe they've left the nest altogether. Maybe we find ourselves as part of the sandwich generation, where we're caring for our own children at the same time we're caring for aging parents. And then many of us experience a loss of our parents, which is a deep grief that can really shake our sense of identity. And let's not forget the physical shifts in midlife too. We do know that menopause can bring its own challenges. And we might start to notice that our bodies and our priorities are shifting. Because we live in an ageist society. And for the first time, many of us are being seen differently. And perhaps a career we began decades ago just no longer feels like it aligns with who we are now. Now, all of these changes and all of these challenges can change a perspective on many areas of life. And they can also bring up big questions like, who am I now? What do I really want? And more often than not, these are questions that we probably haven't even asked ourselves for decades. Perhaps we come to the realization that we might not have asked ourselves these questions ever. So this is the time, because if not now, when? When would you do it? Well, I know for me, the journey of unbecoming started in a big way when I made the decision to step away from my long career as a teacher. Jo the teacher has always been such a major part of who I was. But after years in that role, I reached a point where I felt a pull towards something that was a bit different. And I didn't know what that was, but I did know that I wanted to explore something else. And that whole leap brought me onto a path of incredible personal growth. I invested time and money into myself, and I learned so many new topics that I was interested in, and I was supported and guided along the way by coaches and mentors. But I don't want to make it seem as though it was all rainbows and unicorns, because I had to let go of so many old stories, so many old limiting beliefs, so many old negative thoughts, and I had to embrace the unknown. And if I'm honest, that was scary and it was really uncomfortable at times. And it still can be, even to this day. And I know it will be into the future, because I'm doing things that I've never done before. But my own personal experiences have also allowed me to do things that I never dreamed of doing even a few years ago. I mean, something as simple as creating this podcast. This podcast has now reached thousands of listeners, which tens and tens of thousands of downloads from people all around the world. I've provided hours and hours of free content that helps other women who I've never met, will never even meet, throughout this stage of life. Just helping them. That's huge when I think about it. And I've also started my business, and I'm supporting other women who are going through their own journeys of unbecoming. It's actually wild when you think about it. And I'm not anyone special. I'm just like you. And I'm just like any other of the women that I support. And I think that's what makes unbecoming so damn powerful. It's just not a sudden realization. It's a bit more of a process. Unbecoming is not about having some sudden aha moment where everything falls into place. It's more like a slow and winding road where little by little you just let go of things that don't fit you anymore. For me, it wasn't just about a career change. It was about letting go of those old stories I'd been telling myself, ideas about what I should be doing or who I should be at this stage of life. I was shoulding all over myself. And I had to work through the fear of not knowing what was coming up next. Unbecoming is about unlearning old behaviours. It's about challenging those old unhelpful thoughts. It's about questioning the societal expectations. And it's about allowing yourself to explore new parts of who you are. And something I've found along the way, and maybe you have too, is that once you start letting go of those old labels, you make room for what truly excites you. You might start dreaming new dreams, ones that you had never considered before. It's about clearing the space, like decluttering a room in your home, so you can see what really matters to you. And it's not always easy, like I said before. It can be messy. And the process can feel lonely, especially when those around you mightn't understand what or why or what you're changing. But as you start to unbecome, you can create this beautiful space to rebuild and to add in what does light you up. As something I've discovered personally and through supporting other women, it's all too easy to think like you're the only one who is going through this, thinking these thoughts, or feeling like this. If you're in a place right now where you're feeling uncertain or you're even a bit lost, I want you to know it's completely okay. It's completely normal. It's part of the process of unbecoming. And the process isn't meant to be rushed. It is about giving you that time and the grace to explore what's important to you, what you want to keep and what you want to let go of. There's no timeline, only the one that feels right for you. But in this process, I've found that some dreams and passions that we might have set aside decades ago start to reappear. Maybe you've always wanted to start a creative project, to travel to a new place, or learn something completely different. Now is a time to revisit those dreams, to ask yourself, well, what could bring me joy right now? What does light me up? Because midlife is also a time to rediscover those things that make you feel truly alive. But don't just think about things, start doing it, because we can spend our whole life just thinking about things that we would like to do and never put things into place and action. And as I've guided women through this whole journey of unbecoming that I'm talking about now, I've seen firsthand the transformations that can happen when they let go of old definitions and they start exploring new parts of themselves. It's not just a process that I've experienced myself personally, it's one that I've helped support women through. And every single one of these women has found something that feels meaningful, that brings them a sense of purpose. And some women realize that they really want to dive deeper into personal projects. Others feel drawn to their communities in new ways. Some even start entirely new careers. There's no end to what you can do. You're only limited by your own thoughts and your own expectations. There's so much power in just giving yourself some permission to explore. And it's exactly why I created my Reimagined Mentoring program, because it is a 6-week journey designed to support you through those questions of who am I now and what do I want? And we dive into really what makes you feel alive and what goals you want to explore and what changes you might want to make next in this stage of life to make you feel more fulfilled. And I support and guide you to get you there faster, because we can spend a lot of time just spinning our wheels, thinking about it and making something bigger or harder than it really is. Now, I don't want to go into too much detail here about the program, but if you are curious, I do offer a free 20-minute connection call. And it's a no-pressure chat just to help you decide if this might be the right step for you. And you can find the link in the show notes, or you can just reach out to me directly. Now, as we come to the close of this conversation, I just want to encourage you, embrace wherever you are on this journey. This whole process of unbecoming might feel a bit daunting, but it's a time of such a lot of potential. And there really is. I want to encourage you to understand that there really is something truly wonderful waiting on the other side. It's the opportunity to live in a way that feels deeply true to who you are now. So thanks so much for being here today, for listening, and for allowing me to share a bit of my own journey with you. I hope this conversation sparks something for you, and it just encourages you to take that first step towards your own unbecoming. And I want you to know that wherever you are on this journey, you're not alone. Unbecoming can be a little scary, yes, but it's also a time of pure potential and possibility. There's something beautiful waiting on that other side. So become the truest version of yourself and embrace this next stage of life with joy and excitement. And here's to unbecoming everything that no longer serves us and embracing the woman we're becoming. Until next time, take care and keep dreaming those new dreams. Thanks so much for listening and sharing your time with me today. I'd love you to hit subscribe on Apple Podcast or your favorite podcast app to keep spreading these empowering messages. Please share this podcast with other incredible midlife women in your world. Join me again next week for another redefining midlife conversation. Thanks again for tuning in.